It's going to show up any minute.
Yep, we are definitely live. Okay, hi everybody. Daily Fish here. A great NFL weekend, the playoff weekend. Every game for me was exciting. Only one was decided in the fourth quarter. The others all went down to the wire. Fish, go for it. Your take. What would you say from the past weekend?
When I get up in the morning, all I do is watch the pundits, and there's just no love for the New York Giants. I thought the New York Giants, and I was telling us the hard line in rehearsal, were the most well-coached team from the start to the finish, all 60 minutes. Horrible clock management in the Baltimore Bengals game. Miami game, Peter King was all over this. How do you not know what the play clock? You take 2 timeouts, you don't know when the play clock goes? And they had a critical 4th and 1, go to a 4th and 6 at the end of the game. That being said, very competitive weekend. Kudos out to, there's no moral victories, but kudos out to the Bills and for Baltimore. I never thought they'd make it a game, and they made it a game.
Yeah. Hardline, what do you think? What's your take?
No, you know what? Piggybacking off of Fish, the biggest thing is I think Minnesota was who we thought they were. A lot of people were not very impressed with them for most of the season going into it. A lot of people called them a fake number 2, and this is kind of what we got at the end of the weekend. But very good job by Brian DeBoer. Very good job by that New York Giants team staff and that staff for changing the culture from last year to what it is this year. Completely different from what we saw kind of going into that. The best thing I saw all weekend, I'd say 2 things really after that is, one, how good Mike McDaniels is. Granted, they had a lot of issues, but to say that team lost by 3 points with the 3rd string quarterback, that gives me a lot of hope for what McDaniel's system is and what they have going forward. I know there's some questions. I know they said Tua's our guy moving forward next year, but because of his health issues, I don't necessarily know where they're going to go in the offseason. So pay attention to what they decide to do in the draft. The other portion of it is just Brandon Staley. How do you blow 27 points? You're up 27 points. You're running the ball effectively. You're doing what you're doing best, which is using Austin Eckler and his ability. Granted, you had some injuries, but that's a game when the opposing quarterback throws 4 interceptions in the first half, you have to win. That's not a game that you can let them inch back into. And there's going to be a question about, is he the right guy later in the show to lead that team? But, kudos to Doug Peterson for taking a team that Urban Meyer thought couldn't win and getting a playoff victory.
Yep. I agree with you guys. You hit all the things that I was going to touch on. For me, the Giants were the biggest surprise. And again, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm going to usually be tough on my team. But what I saw, and as much as I agree with you about the Vikings, but at the same time, too, I thought the Vikings still played a halfway decent game. And what I saw in the Giants all weekend was one of the teams that was still strong, still moving up. They looked like they got better over the week. And to me, the Jags, the Bills, and the Bengals, I didn't think they played their best at all. I think, and they're going to move on. They've got to make some changes. So those are the things I would say. Fish, you're shaking your head. Give me something.
I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy, and it's 4th and 8, and you throw a 3-yard pass. Very evident what Mr. Hardline would talk about Derek Carr in critical situations. You throw a 3-yard pass to Hawkinson, he's covered. You're not making good decisions. So that's not a well-coached team or a quarterback that I think that could ever take you far. I'll make a bold prediction right now, gentlemen. If the New York Giants beat Philly this weekend, they're going to the Super Bowl. This reminds me of 2007 when a guy in his 4th year named Eli Manning, 9-7 team, started beating the crap out of people in the playoffs, and they went up against a Patriot team that's 18-0 and shocked the NFL world. So we could see history again, guys.
I'll say one thing, though, about this weekend, and this is something about an individual we'll get to later, but the Baltimore Ravens have to put money into that offense. I'm tired of them constantly putting money onto the defensive side of the ball and ignoring the offense. Granted, they kept the game close, but look how bad that offense moved the ball. They don't really have any wide receivers. Your best receiver cannot be a tight end. You have to put money on that side of the ball. And until they do that, I don't see them winning anything.
All right, we're going to talk a lot more. Welcome to Daily Fish, everybody, coming to you from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. I'm John Daly. He is Eric Fish Snyder. And also in Las Vegas is The Hard Line with John Hardison from the Cost of Winning podcast and all of his sports betting advice. You got questions or comments, drop them in the chat box. Or if you're not watching us live, email us at dailyfish, dailyfish1 @gmail.com. All right, let's talk. We kind of touched on this already. Some of the quarterback carousel that's going to be coming up. So we're going to see some changes, I think, for next season. So, Fish, who goes first? What do you think?
Well, I'm a little concerned that Lamar Jackson should always be concerned about his money. It's his life. And guys like Robert Griffin III, Michael Vick, wasn't Randall Cunningham, another quarterback, took shots at the guy by saying, get out there and play. It's his life. So I don't know if he's going to be back next year, but here's a quarterback carousel. All right, you're going to have Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, maybe Jared Goff, maybe Daniel Jones. I doubt it. They don't lock him up. They're idiots. All right. And then you're going to have Tom Brady probably, and you're going to have Derek Carr. And then you're going to have some great guys. And I love C.J. Stroud, and I love Bryce Young, and I like Anthony Richardson, and I like Hendon Hooker in the draft. So the quarterback carousel between the draft and free agency, both, I'll call you double Johns, is going to provide a lot of drama and a lot of some for us to talk about in the offseason.
Hey, let me throw this out at you because we saw how great Purdy was, and we're seeing somebody who was Mr. Irrelevant, and we're actually seeing a couple of other quarterbacks who actually did fairly well that we never expected. Do you think that could be changing? Oh, they're going to go out and get they're going to get quarterbacks who are already pro, or are they going to maybe bet a little bit more on some of the college quarterbacks that are coming up? Because as you say, Fish, I mean, there's 10 really good ones. Fish, go ahead.
Well, I want to throw us to Hardline because Ryan Poles kind of threw this out there. He's the general manager of Chicago and says, if there's someone out there that really blows me away, we could have a situation. Remember Hardline a few years ago when the Cardinals drafted Josh Rosen? Then the next year they drafted Kyler Murray and traded him. That could happen with the Chicago Bears have the number one pick. You brought up Brock Purdy, Mr. Daly. What do you do if Brock Purdy takes this team to the Super Bowl? You got to trade Trey Lance. So you're going to have a lot of movement. What do you think about that, Hardline? I mean, John made a great point. You could have guys that were first-round draft. Zach Wilson's another guy that I think's on the move. What do you think, Hard?
You know what? The Zach Wilson portion, I'll speak to that first. They're giving a lot of praise behind them, a lot of support. I think that they're just saying that, but I think they're doing their homework in the background in the NFL draft. And look, there's a guy here in Las Vegas that could go to the Jets. I mean, look, Robert Saleh is a solid head coach. They have weapons that they can use. They have a great wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. I just think that, maybe Carr is a person that's on the move to the New York Jets. He's a veteran. He's got more experience than Wilson. He's a quicker release than Wilson. Possibly, in the long term, he sets him up for a better situation. I'm not sold that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to stay with the 49ers. If Purdy takes them to the Super Bowl, or if Purdy keeps this train moving, I don't see a point for you to have Garoppolo. You already got Lance. It's a cheaper option. You don't really want to have to negotiate with Garoppolo. He's injured again. Is it even worth it? Maybe he goes back to Robert Saleh. They have a good relationship. Maybe he goes, Vegas is looking for somebody. Maybe depending on the situation, if he decides to take a discount or if he decides to work a lower deal as a prove it, maybe he comes to Las Vegas. But I don't see him with the 49ers anymore. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks coming up in the draft. I think that what you have to ask yourself, and this is the hard part, is it's easy to put it on the coaching staff, but you really have to look at ownership. And one team that we talk about all the time is the Washington Commanders, which is, should they go for a quarterback? Should they even change their head coach? But when you don't even know who's going to possibly own the team, is it even worth paying all these guys this money? And we just saw a few months ago that Roger Goodell sent a loadout to the owners saying, hey, you guys keep firing management. You still have to keep paying them. It's a lot of dead money on the table that you guys keep going over and over and over with. Maybe there's some guys that you really needed to consider that you need to develop, meaning GMs, players, instead of just getting rid of them with all this dead cap money.
Interesting. All right. For the most part, I'm going to agree with you guys. I think Derek Carr is going to the Saints because I think Dennis Allen's going to stick around with the Saints as the head coach. And Fish, I got to laud you for this because I think Brady is going to the Raiders. I had to pick. And by the way, Hardline, great thought. He could go to the Dolphins. He might want to stay in the Florida area, but I do think he's going to go there. I think the Commanders, if they are ready to start, I think they're going to go for Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield would be a good choice there. I think the Texans are going to stay. They're going to pick Bryce Young. I think they're going to pick him as their first pick, as the number 2 pick. And then the other one, there was a lot of questions about Geno Smith. I think he stays in Seattle. I think they like him there, and I think that's going to be it. But the other ones are Garoppolo. I have no idea, and I don't know what coaches or teams are thinking, because Garoppolo's great, but where do you put him in? What do you do with him? So I don't know. I don't know where he could fit in so many others. Go ahead, Fish.
Going to the Jets. It just makes sense. And the reason why Carr won't go to the Jets, I think Carr's 1-11 in games under 45 degrees. What Garoppolo did last year against Green Bay hardline in that playoff game when it was -7, driving him down. He's played in cold weather. So these are called bridge quarterbacks. And right, I mean, the Dolphins have already said they're bringing Tua back next year. That's clickbait. I don't know. But again, we have a lot to talk about in the offseason. When we're talking baseball and the pitch clock helping games becoming 2 hours and 35 minutes, in the background we'll be saying, Jesus Christ, look what just happened. This guy signed this way. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun to do the hot stove league in pro football this year.
I will say this, Fish. You mentioned Lamar Jackson earlier. I think that they probably franchise tag him. I don't think they let him walk. It's sad because of everything that's kind of going on over there. But I'll say this. I'll be the bad guy in the room. Who is Robert Griffin to tell anybody that they need to rush back? Because the last time I checked, when he rushed back for the Washington Commanders, it damn near ended his career.
It's a good point.
I'm wrong. He made a comment. It was Michael Vick that said, Michael Vick said, I tore my MCL and played the entire season. You need to do it up. But you know what? You don't mess with another man's money. It's his career. It's his life. It's something that'll play out. Now, let me ask you guys something really quick, Daly. If you decide they can franchise you, but if you decide to not sign it, is that an incentive for the team to trade you, or are you going to do a Le'Veon Bell type thing that he did with Pittsburgh years ago and sit out? I mean, that could be I don't think they franchise him, Hardline. I think they're going to move him or sign him.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't think you can franchise somebody till you got him signed to a full contract, right? Because he's in an option year.
You can franchise him.
You can franchise him.
With the Giants, real quick, they're going to franchise Saquon Barkley, and they're going to give Daniel Jones a quarterback. One's getting franchised and one's getting the big contract. So, and they're both in option years.
I agree. All right. Let's move on to the coaches. There's going to be a lot of coaching changes, a hot seat coming up for the next season. So, Fish, who's gone? Who's staying? What do you think?
I love Cliff. Cliff Kingsbury was approached by 7 teams to be their OC. He said, I'm buying a one-way ticket to Thailand. I'm the fuck out of here. That's exactly what he said. Good for him. I mean, look, that was a rough deal. Look, there's only 5 openings right now. And I got to ask both you guys this. Jim Irsay is seriously considering bringing Jeff Saturday back. I said in the show you missed last week when you were sick last week, Hardline, I said Saturday won't have a job by next Monday. And he's still basically the interim coach. I don't see much change. I mean, Dennis Allen might go. Sean McVay was talking about leaving. So you have openings where? You have openings in Arizona. You have an opening in Indianapolis. You have an opening in Denver. I'm missing 2 other cities, but there's 5 openings this year. Give me the other 2 cities. I'm drawing a blank.
I say Carolina with Steve Wilkes. I'm not sure, especially with I think it's Tapper that owns the team. When he said, we'll consider him, but if you're saying that you're going to consider a guy, that pretty much means that you're not sold on him. You're going someplace else with that. Rivera was another option in Washington, but I know a lot of people, including myself, have said I don't think it makes any sense for Ron Rivera to go, knowing that you're going to sell the team and that owner probably wants their own guy and they're going to do their own due diligence. I don't think it makes any sense. Dennis Allen is the one, you brought up his name. That's really interesting. I don't know if he keeps his job. The way New Orleans played this year, they were either very hot or very cold. Fish, I know it's your guy, former Raider, former Raider coach. Some guys are just coordinators. Some guys are just not head coaches. They're just coordinators. We saw that with Spagnuolo. We tried to be a head coach over in St. Louis. It didn't work out, but he does really well with Kansas City. I just think Dennis Allen's a good coordinator. I just don't think that he's a good head coach.
Can I jump in real quick, Daly? I want to ask Daly a question also on both of you guys. Do you guys think, Daly, that Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh are viable candidates, or is that just to give you something to talk about? Because if those two guys are in the mix, I think Denver Broncos, the other team, are looking for a head coach. So I can see Peyton going to Denver. I can see him going to Arizona.
I got Sean Payton going to the Cardinals, and I got Jim Harbaugh going to the Broncos. And I think I wouldn't have said this like 5-6 months ago. I thought he was going to stay at Michigan, but he's got violations coming up. He doesn't want to face that, and I think they want to get out of that. So I think that's done. I think the Dolphins are going to stay with Mike McDaniel. I thought what he did yesterday, and you guys hit that right, the nail on the head there. I don't think Ron Rivera is going anywhere. I think he could be a little bit on the hot seat. I think they're going to hold on to him, but I do think Staley with the Chargers is gone. I think yesterday he really, really hurt himself. Those are the ones, and I still think they're going to hold on to Dennis Allen. But I like what you're saying. He's probably a better at being a coordinator. And then we look at Josh McDaniels, who seems to always just want to be an offensive coordinator rather than being the head coach. I still think he stays with the Raiders. But I think if you bring Brady in, that's like bringing in an offensive coordinator and a play caller, because, your offensive coordinator is not going to upstage Brady. Brady's going to make the call himself. He's going to say, screw you. Here's what we're going to call. Here's what we're going to do. So I still think there's a lot of stuff that's going to be running out, but I don't think we're going to see drastic changes there. Go ahead. Jump in.
Well, no, I think that Sean Payton is going to the Cardinals. I think it's pretty much a done deal, especially because he's like, I kind of want somewhat autonomy and being able to pick the guys that I want. The Cardinals have been a real issue probably last 5 years, even though, Kingsbury got to the playoffs. Look, I'll be very honest, with Sean Payton walking through that door, even though they gave him a lot of money, I don't think he's necessarily sold on Kyler Murray, and I don't know what that relationship is going to look like if he takes over there. In terms of Jim Harbaugh, you're right. I think that he's probably gone, but I think he's only gone if the money is right. I think that's the biggest thing, and I know Michigan loves to pour money into him because it's the most successful Michigan's been since Lloyd Carr was there. So we'll kind of see where we go in that instance. And we'll see. Look, I think the question, if he does go to Denver, is he has to sit down and ask the Waltons, is how bad do you really want to win? Is this a team that you really admire and you want to win? Or is this just something to say, we're in the ownership group, we don't really care, we just own a team?
Yeah.
One quick addendum to that, guys. One quick addendum. I think you'll both agree. If Brandon Staley gets fired, I can guarantee you, Sean Payton has a house in LA. He lives there because he works for Fox. He's going to the Chargers. All he talked about is how much he loves Justin Herbert. Well, you could have him, if this guy goes. So keep an eye on that story. That'll happen fairly soon if it happens.
Good choice. All right, let's get into some sports and entertainment. Fish came up with this, and this is a good one. What actor or actress plays your favorite athlete in a movie? Fish, since you came up with this first, you go first.
Kenny Stabler is my favorite player. I got a chance to meet him. It was one of the highlights of my life when I was bartending at a club called Mom's Saloon in Brentwood, and the fella had a big party. He's sitting there with a Coors and a shot of Jack and a cigarette, and we bullshitted for 10 minutes. The only guy I could see playing him, because obviously, would be Jeff Bridges. The young Jeff Bridges has that scruffy look, the hair, and I think he's left-handed also. So if you don't know who Jeff Bridges is, if you saw Hell or High Water, came out a few years ago. He won the Academy Award for that, longtime actor. So I got Jeff Bridges playing Kenny Stabler.
Nice. Hardline, what do you got?
You know what? Just I love the story of it. And even though he was the main character, his brother stole the show. And it's Irish Mickey Ward, and it's Mark Wahlberg that played him in The Fighter. And as good as Mark Wahlberg is playing him and the connection that they have to Boston, God bless Christian Bale for stealing that show. I mean, he made one line of, I knocked down Sugar Ray Leonard into the crux of the whole thing. And then when they get into just that big fight of, he slipped. You didn't hit him. He slipped. Oh, I love it. It's just if you're a boxing fan, just the background of everything that goes into when you're not necessarily a prodigy, how do you make a name for yourself in that business?
I got it. Okay. Fish, I kind of misinterpreted your question because I was kind of picking the stars that actually played the athletes already. And I kind of went a little old school. I went John Cusack, who played Buck Weaver in 8 Men Out. To me, one of the great movies about baseball. Also a great book too, by the way. My other favorite one was Billy D. Williams as Gale Sayers. in Brian's song, along with James Caan as Brian Piccolo. And if you haven't seen that, and I lived through that whole thing, it's a tearjerker. The other one, Emma Stone as Billie Jean King in the Battle of the Sexes film. She did everything in there except the tennis. And Caitlin Christian, who is a professional tennis player, she did all the tennis scenes in there. But Fish, I got to tell you, I misinterpreted that question there. So I'm trying to think who would play who would Cranston play? Who would you have Cranston play as a professional athlete? I'm thinking somebody who is like a retired quarterback now.
He would play Charlton Heston in Number One, which is a great movie that came out years ago. I mean, top of my head. I'm going to give you a double whammy. On top of my head, guys, is there a better portrayal of an athlete and a coach than Will Smith playing Muhammad Ali and then playing Richard Williams in the King Richard? He was spot on in those. So
I agree.
Yeah, I'm
agree
sorry. I meant to say if whoever your favorite athlete is, what actor do you think would portray him? I'll think of something with Bryan Cranston because the level of his work and his range is so great. He could play a lot of. I see Cranston playing someone like Leo DeRocher. There was a movie about Leo DeRocher. Remember him, the manager?
Yeah,
that was so
absolutely.
bombastic. He's that kind of guy who would play someone like that. There was a movie about him.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Cranston a little later. But now it is time for some fishy memes. Fish, what have you been eye feasting on this week?
Okay, check this out. Let me get it there. Check that out. Some people in the morning and me. That's after watching the Raiders. All right. Move up a little bit on this. Check this one out. Men will be men. It's the husband says, my heart is paining. Call the doctor immediately, fast. And the wife says, okay, dear, stay calm. Tell me your mobile password. The husband says, wait, no need. I'm feeling better now. Check this one out. The skeleton. It says, feel my leg. I just shaved. And the hey. Great job, Karen. Having to climb out the window wasn't a red flag that something was wrong. It's a car parked in the place that you put your shopping carts. Great. So we found Jennifer Aniston. I think it's more Tom Petty, but check this one out. Lockdown's affected every one of us, Jennifer Aniston. Oh Lord, I'm getting bad here. This is the best. This is one of the best ones. Hardline. Sometimes you have to admit it's time to retire. The shot into a girl, and she hits the woman's breast. Oh Lord, that's awesome.
The mom does have big boobs.
Well, we know what it's made out of.
Oh, great! Pop goes the weasel. Check out these morons. Reasons why women live longer than men. Part 1. It's two morons trying to hand a couch down. It's going to crush these guys if they catch it from the top floor of their condo. I mean, morons. I mean, that could be schmuck of the week. Keep going here. How about this one, Daly? When your boss asks for proof, you're in the hospital. Guy's sitting there with an IV and an oxygen going in his nose. And I got one for you. I've advocated this guy, and this goes out to Giants Nation. Christine Furco, Ralph Bacchiano from Giants Insider, big fans of the show. Dave Panatti, the biggest Giants fan. This is a picture of Daniel Jones. He's got that tongue out. You know what that means? I'm licking my lips. Bring on the Philadelphia Eagles, motherfuckers. And then, guys, on a serious one, also, this is the Embrace statue. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And what that guy meant, I remember my mother watching his speeches in 1968. I was a kid. I was 8 years old. Hardline. I can only imagine what it meant in your life. You weren't old enough to hear him speak live. John and I were. And only if his words would have resonated, still, we might have a less division. What do you guys think?
No, absolutely. And what was real interesting, Hines, who's the, and I'm forgetting his first name, he was the guy who returned the kickoff last week for the Bills against the Patriots in the opening. His mom and dad were actually there. They actually were with Martin Luther King, and they did an interview. I think it was on Fox Sports. It was a great interview, and this kid explained the whole thing, and it was great. It was perfect for Martin Luther King Day. Go ahead, Hardline.
No, I think everything that you're saying is spot on, and this is why we have this day, and so many people have fought to make it a national holiday. You don't get a lot of these people in your lifetime. And when you have them, you cherish them, you memorialize them, and you try to take what they've taught you and you implement it not only in your life, but in your children's life as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
The one last thing I like to say and speak for all three of us, when you have someone like that who has a vision to bring us all together and realize that we're all humans, you need to listen to that person. And unfortunately, we don't have that kind of person nowadays, but we can go back and listen to his speeches, and he just wanted opportunity, right, Hardline? And he wanted everyone to have the same things in life. And is that so wrong that we have to still strive for that 50, 60 years later? So maybe Daly Fish is the voice of reason. Maybe we're the guys that could have the vision of, you know what? Don't listen to anything John Daly says when it comes to picking games. Wait for the Hardline segment. Unbelievable. What a segue that was.
That's great advice. There you go. All right. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us here on Daily Fish. We talk sports, entertainment, and politics, as you just heard, everything in between, just like you do. We have no woke, no extreme, no social justice cops here. Send us comments or questions to dailyfish1, the number one, dailyfish1@gmail.com. And we'll hit some political issues later in the show. Also coming up is Hardline's betting picks. But first, it's time for Schmuck, Swag, and Drink of the Week. And our Drink of the Week is in honor of one of our most recent guests, actor Bryan Cranston. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, Fish, who's been schmucky this week?
Okay, look at these. I got to get back to them. This is so great. This is the airport. This is traffic at a major airport. We've had problems recently with people with the flights being delayed, and it's due to some airlines. It's due to either hacks or what have you. There has been, and we had Alyssa Conaway on, and she's great. She's a stewardess that we had on the show recently, and she said people on the flights have been great, but she didn't say this, but I know this. People in the airports have been absolute assholes, taking out on these people because of the delays that the flights had. It's not their fault. You don't start fights with people working in counters because your flight got delayed.
Yeah.
Put your anger away. 12-step program. Denial is the first step in the 12-step program. But if something like that happens, can't you just have some resolve and say, you know what? I'm stuck in an airport. Big deal.
Yep. I agree with you. And that's our Schmuck of the Week. All right. Let's see who's got the swag. Who are going to be toasting this week, Fish?
I love this guy. Oh, my God. Are you familiar with this guy named Mr. Brainwash? Mr. Brainwash is one of the top painters using a spray can. Look at that mural he did with the spray can in memorial to Kobe Bryant and his daughter that we recently lost tragically, okay? Not only is he great with his spray can, it looks like he has been commissioned to start designing some NBA uniforms. And how cool is that going to be, using a spray can and bring a little swag to uniforms? I guarantee you when the NBA does it, because they're ahead of that in that class, watch the NFL and Major League Baseball do the same.
That's cool. That's the biggest thing, Fish, and that's partially why I'm so in love with the NBA is the forward thinking. And look, like I know a lot of people when Major League Baseball did the alternative uniforms, they loved it. You know, the Space City, what was it? The UNICEF one for the Boston Red Sox. You know, all these people are like, I want that one. Even when we talk about Vegas Golden Knights, the ones that light up, people love them. I just wish the NFL would just let somebody come in and be like, you know what, for one game, this is the specialty jersey that you're going to run. I guarantee you it's sellout.
Yeah, and everybody needs to go to Oregon to learn how to do that. So, all right, now we have our drink of the week, and we're going to be toasting with our drink of the week. What are we sipping on, Fish? This is
we had the pleasure of interviewing a mediocre actor a couple of days ago named Bryan Cranston, who's just a star. But he has this wonderful mezcal that we've promoted called Dos Hombres, and he makes a Cranstonian. And I like to put a little tahini on the rim, and it's his mezcal. I put cranberry juice, a squeeze of lime, and a little tahini. It is a wonderful. It's one of these drinks you could have 17 of, and then it slowly creeps up on you, but it just gives you that great buzz. So to Mr. Brainwash, to the clever thinking of the NBA, and hopefully these uniforms, and to Bryan Cranston, to you guys, salute.
Right back at you. Oh, that's good. That is it's such a great drink, and you got to try his mezcal. Also, check out our interview with Bryan Cranston from last week. It's on the YouTube channel. It's also on all the other places you get to see us. Here's what was really interesting about that. Brian tells us about the second season of Your Honor. Plus, he reveals the clandestine way that he and Aaron Paul had to film those final episodes of Better Call Saul. If you get a chance, go back and take a look at the interview. And he tells us some stuff that even we hadn't heard about before. So there it is there. All right. Hey, the Daily Fish Drink of the Week is sponsored by Shucks Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to the Shucks Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town where fish is overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast. You get a free drink. Do it the next day. A free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook. Again, folks, this is Daily Fish. We're on Facebook at daily.fish.5. You can subscribe there. Also subscribe on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. Watch us on Facebook at the Myrtle Beach Golf Channel and Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life. Check out Daily Fish on YouTube and also on Wingding TV and Hey Vegas TV. And also check out our post and our definitely news updates. And you can do it on Twitter and Facebook as well throughout the week. All right, now let's get some bets from the Daily Fish Hardlines. He is John Hardison, as you know. He has the podcast, The Cost of Winning, focusing on fantasy sports and sports betting on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast as well. Hardline. All right, let's start with tonight's Monday night playoff game. The Cowboys are 3-point favorites over the Buccaneers in Tampa. What are you taking?
You know what? As much as I want to take America's team and I want to take the Cowboys, I got to go with Brady. Since he's been in Tampa Bay, Dallas is 0-2 against Tom Brady since he's been there. The Bucs have the home field advantage tonight. They're playing on grass. It's going to be a little cold outside. I think the Bucs get it done. I think they keep it close. I'll take the Bucs +3.
All right.
I disagree. I think the Cowboys win by 10. I have a funny. The Bucs have just been struggling, and the quicker the Bucs win, the quicker Tom Brady gets to Las Vegas and gives this city a splash. Hardline, we've been suffering. Before we get to anything else, Hardline he texts me, he goes, can you believe how many Chiefs fans at the Raiders game, John? And we need a buzz out here in Las Vegas, so let's get Brady out. Next week, there's intriguing matchups. I have to ask you this one, because it's dear to my heart. Do you think the Giants have a snowball hell's chance in beating the Eagles?
I think they got a chance because they play them twice a year, so it's a team that you're familiar with. It's a team that you have film on. You play them, every year. But something different about this Eagles team, man, this year. It's a different team. The biggest question I have, and granted it's early in the week, I just want to know, what is Jalen Hurts' health status kind of moving forward? And if he's healthy and if he's not hurting and he's good to go, I think the Eagles get to rolling, and I like them as a money line, this week. But if there's any indication that Jalen Hurts may be a little sore or something's not right, the Giants got a good chance to take that game, But as of right now, I'm going to go with the Eagles. Go with the Eagles money line. I just think that they have a special team, and what Sirianni's done, you couldn't have told me that they would have had that record this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on the Eagles, but I do think Jalen Hurts is the key there. And Fish, I agree with you. I think the Giants could go to the Super Bowl. I mean, the way they played and the way they were still, running off the field. They looked like they had energy. They looked like a team that was still that's on the rise, whereas most of the other teams feel like they're either tired or on the decline. All right, let's go to the next one. So the Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites over the Jaguars. What do you got on that, Hardline?
I think this is just an ass whooping waiting to happen for me just to sit here and watch it on Sunday. I'm taking the Chiefs -8.5. The last 3 games they've played against the Jags, they won by 10 points or more. I'm waiting to see if they pull out the snow globe play like they did here in Vegas, where they go ring around the rosy and just throw it. Look, I like Doug Peterson. I like what they've done. But if Trevor Lawrence is throwing 4 interceptions against the Chargers, I could only imagine what he's going to throw against Kansas City. And look, you don't want to give the best way, as we say, to beat Pat Mahomes is the best way that you beat Tom Brady, which is keep him off the field. And if you give Pat Mahomes decent to good field position, he's going to light your ass up. To me, I'm just going to go ahead and just take Kansas City -8.5.
the marquee game of the weekend, in my opinion, is the Bills and the Bengals. They get to finish something that for thank God. Hey, everyone, isn't it great to see how great DeMar Hamlin's doing? I mean, and you think about the Bills and the Bengals, Daly, and that's you thought about what happened a few weeks ago. Now they go at it in the playoffs. I don't know what to think of this game, Hardline. You're gonna have to give me some advice here.
From looking at the way both teams played, and granted, look, some people have bad first games and can get on a run.
Yep.
I like the Bengals +4. Daly said something a few weeks ago. He's like, I think the Bengals are the best team in the AFC. And honestly, what I saw from the Bills yesterday was a team that has trouble picking up weak side blitzes, a team that their running backs can't really pass block that well. And if they could create pressure on those outsides and trap Josh Allen in, it's going to be a long day. I mean, it's going to be a real long day for him. The biggest matchup of that night, it's probably going to be Gabe Davis, and see if he can really get open, because they're probably going to double down on Stephon Diggs, which is the smartest way, and to see that matchup. But I like the Bengals +4. Granted, the Bengals didn't have the smoothest of games, but that defense stepped up last night. I mean, they stepped up big, and when they needed to, they got it. Look, winning games doesn't mean that you got to win pretty. It just means that you got to get out with 1 point ahead of the other guy.
Okay, real quick, where Daly goes, you just said something that just made my decision for me if I bet the game. You said that Daly said that the Bengals are the best team in the AFC. All right, America, Spotify, Wingding, wherever you're listening or watching, Daly said the Bengals are the best team. Take the Bills.
All right. Hey, Hardline, we're going to get your pick for the 49ers and whoever wins tonight. We're going to do that later this week, and we're going to post it on Facebook and Twitter pages. And folks, that is the Daily Fish Hardlines with John Hardison, the Cost of Winning podcast. Again, you can find him here with us all the time. He's also on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast. Hardline, stick around because we're going to talk about some little bit more controversy here. All right, so here we go. So here's what I heard. I heard that Fish and Hardline visited Biden's home around the time he had those classified government documents. So what did you guys see?
I actually saw in the documents, I actually saw the plays that Josh McDaniels should have called for the Raiders, but I guess they both fell asleep on that one. I mean, this is crazy. Sometimes you need this kind of comedy. I can only imagine if SNL is going to do a skit, because the whole thing about Trump at Mar-a-Lago with the documents, now they're finding documents everywhere. I just can't. I hope they find a document that Biden has, and there's receipts that he went to the same place to get hand jobs that Robert Kraft did. That'd be so great, wouldn't it? I mean, this is crazy. You can't make this up. Only, I talk about the tabloids and the crap that goes on with the royal family. Now we're having the battle of the battle of the presidents with top secret documents. It's crazy.
Hardline, give us your thoughts.
This is insane. I mean, you had one former president that everybody was like, look what he did. He and again, I love the fact that people are pointing fingers. Democrats were like, look, this is Trump. Look at what the Republicans did this. And then they turn around and this guy's picking up the box and going into his house. And they're walking in. And the Republicans are like, see, I told you it wasn't just us doing this. It's insane. I don't know necessarily what to make of it. I think maybe Biden's best excuse is to say, I thought that this was the White House. I got a little confused.
I just found some in my backyard.
Oh my God. That's perfect.
One says John Daly's Botox appointment. I don't get that shit.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
So I think what they should do is they should go back through every president and go through So Jimmy Carter, at 96 years old, they're going to find something, in his closet or something like that, just to see what's going on. I don't know. To me, I agree with you. It's just a ridiculous thing. And I think it's more of a smokescreen, because what they seem to be saying with the stuff they're finding from Trump that the special prosecutor has is that this was stuff that's going on right now. I got to think the thing with Biden was a long time ago. So I don't know. We'll have to just see that. All right. Hey, next topic here. The George Santos story, if that's his real name, and he should have been in Catch Me If You Can. He shows how dumb we are and also how entertainment dollars that our major media outlets have. The North Shore Leader is a newspaper on Long Island. It exposed him months before the election, but nobody picked up the story about his phony credentials and his phony resume, including the major newspapers and the major networks. To me, all it shows is how stupid we are as a country when the stuff was right out there, and yet these people voted for this guy. Give me your thoughts on that.
I'll
Go
go
for it,
first.
Hardline.
George Santos came out this morning and said that he cashed a ticket, that he had TCU on the money line, and they won. And I'm like, wait a minute, TCU lost 65-3. I mean, this bending of reality these guys have, it's insane. And oh, hi, my wife says hi. Anyways, just came out. Come on the show. Daly's wife came on the show with Cranston. Yeah, the bending of reality is crazy. It's nuts. I mean, here's the thing. Let me ask you guys this. He's a liar. He's a moron, it seems to me. I'm just saying he is. But no Republicans have indicted him on the moral compass platform, okay? If a Democrat did the same thing, would the Democrats and go after the person? Because that's what bothers me the most, is not one Republican has said anything wrong about George Santos, and he makes them look like idiots. Do you guys agree?
Go for it, Harlan.
You know what? I think he makes a lot of people look like idiots. I think that, the best thing about George Santos is it gives me hope to apply, because this makes me feel like it's just like a normal job application. When they're like, oh, we need references and we need your last, your work history. They're never going to call that shit. We're just going to go ahead and hire him. Feels like it's the same thing. Nobody did any background check. Nobody called. If they had even called the guy that he had as a reference, they would have found out it was Sal's Pizzeria. They didn't even call. So at this point, you know what? I think that the biggest thing is there needs to be more checks and balances in all seriousness. But it just goes that, like you said, catch me if you can. If you can just make people feel comfortable and just, slide through, I think people ignore, the glaring obvious issues of, hey, this isn't adding up. And I think that there's certain things in regards to what Fish is saying. Yeah, I think that that's a big question, especially with the ethics, how the ethics committee is. Why are we not investigating this? Why are we just letting this go through, regardless if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent? This needs to be brought up, and this needs to be something that we find. I guess my question would be, is this a kind of tit for tat? Was there somebody else on the other side that somebody kind of just, glared over and they were like, hey, I'm calling in the favor?
Well, for me, if you lie about something and there's no law against that, you can say anything. But I think where they're going to nail him is on campaign finance reform. I think there was a lot of goofy money that came from a Ponzi scheme that got into his campaign. And all of a sudden he was making $750,000 a year after being broke. I think that's probably where they're going to nail him more than anything else. But here's the thing. Just what you were saying, Hardline. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run either for Senate or President of the United States because I graduated from Harvard, the Harvard bartending school, and you can't take that away from me. I graduated from Harvard. I know.
What was this movie? Is it this just like The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, that's another good one. That's another really good one. That's right. All right, so let's go to our last topic here. How do we expect to convert gas engine automobiles to electric cars in less than 15 years? Fish, you skeptical on this?
You can't. They don't have a power grid in California to when there's a heat wave. It takes. I did a little research on this. So let's say you get the electric car, you have a Tesla or electric car. It takes 36 minutes to charge it, John, to go 250 miles. Yep. When you go to the gas station, it takes you maybe 5 minutes if you go inside to pay the girl or the guy, and then put the pump in and pump your own gas. We don't have the patience to wait 36 to 40 minutes to do an electric car. But where are you going to start? Where's the landfills where you can't convert a car and take the engine out and put electrical stuff in the car? You got to do you got to buy a whole new car. What, if you can't afford an electric car, what are you going to do? It's impossible. You see, I'm getting tongue-tied in this whole thing. You can't do it. You guys tell me how you do it.
Hardline, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
You know what? I'll go. It's unrealistic in my opinion. Just one, the price of the cars in general. I think that you brought it up. It's not even kind of comparable to a normal car. But you're right. Look, there's not many electrical grids in the United States. I mean, Texas has one, California's got one. It's already issues with the electrical grid in California being overloaded with just what we're doing right now. And I think you hit the biggest thing on the head. Look, the patience. I don't think that anybody, like, what does this look like? For 36 minutes, you got to pull over, you got to charge up, you got to sit there. What is the line looking like at backup, and at a normal gas station where, like you said, it takes 10 minutes to pump, it's already backed up. What is this going to look like where you're charging up cars and you got to wait 36 minutes for one car to leave and then the next car to go? And so you're driving and it takes 3 hours to just fill up to get back onto the road. To the freeway. I just think at this point, it's unrealistic. I just don't see it happening. I think the idea is great, even with all the incentives that they've put even last year on getting an electric vehicle, which are great. The parameters of being able to qualify were ridiculous. This car company couldn't have sold more than X amount of cars in a year, and it has to be this amount of weight. You have to do all this stuff to the point that I don't think most people would probably qualify for it. So in the idea of what it could be, yeah, it sounds great. In the short term and even geopolitical in terms of, gas and oil reserves and what this means, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well, let me just say to both you guys, keep complaining and bitching about this, because you guys doing that is actually going to get things going. And there's a great book out there. It's called A Question of Power. It's written by Robert Bryce. And to me, what you're not seeing is that there is technology that's coming up along the way. They're going to start having batteries that can charge for a long, long time. They're in the works right now, and it is happening. But one of the things that the U.S. government needs to do is we need to really spruce up our entire electrical grid system, because it could be attacked very, very easily. And I do think we are beginning to move forward in it, because technically we've got to do it. One of the real interesting things that he talked about in the book was the fact that once you start getting the electric grid going so that more people are connected to the electric grid, it's going to create kids who are going to be not only smarter, because they'll be able to have school, more connections there, they're going to be healthier. And all the tests show that people who are near a grid and a power grid, and you're going to start seeing it in other countries, and that's what's going to start happening. I think over the next 10 years, you're going to see some advancements in technology where you're going to start seeing these batteries. I've done a couple of segments on it for when I was working with Banyan Hill, the financial subscription company, and they're talking about a new battery that's about to come out fairly soon that's going to triple the weight, or triple and reduce the wait time on it. Plus, the battery is going to be so small and so powerful that the cost of an electric vehicle is going to go below what a gas vehicle would. So it'll be easier. So that's on the horizon. Is it here yet? No. And will it be here? Yes. When you two keep complaining, because that's what's going to happen. So I think you're absolutely right. But I think technology is about ready to take over and to make things happen. So I'm pretty, Fish, I'm not a Debbie Downer on this one. How about that?
You're a Debbie Downer anyways. You think that the Ukraine war is going to turn into a nuclear war. So how do we get 10 years? All right. So you're nuts. I got a story for both of you guys. We just lost a legend, or no legend. We just lost Lisa Marie Presley the other day, cardiac arrest, and we lost Jeff Beck. It always comes in threes. I'm working at a bar in Brentwood called Mom's Saloon that just catered to the elite, and she comes rolling in there like in 1990, 1991. We had a Pop-A-Shot machine. Remember those Pop-A-Shot machines, Don?
Yeah.
Where you throw the basketball into a thing and you had a time to get into the hoop. She comes in with these two gargantuan guys that walk up to me and they go, "Are you the manager?" And I said, "Yeah." Lisa Marie wants to come in and play Pop-A-Shot. I said, "No problem. No one will bother her." Well, obviously no one's going to bother her. We're going to watch over her. So the guy bartending for me is a guy named Tano Costa, who's the biggest Elvis fan on the planet. And he just gets a tattoo of Elvis on his left arm. So I walk up to him, I go, "Tano, you see who's down there playing Pop-A-Shot? Lisa Marie Presley." He goes, "Oh, Fish? No." I said, "Look, I'll go down there and I'll arrange you guys to meet. Fish, don't fucking do it." I go down there. I introduce myself. I said, "This kid up there is the biggest fan of your dad. Can you just give him 2 minutes and say hello?" And she's the nicest person. She goes, "Of course." So I get the bar back to watch the bar. Tano walks down. I walk down. I see he's shaking. I said, Tano, this is Lisa Marie Presley. They shake hands, and she gives him a hug to break the ice, right, Hardline? I said, Tano, show Lisa Marie your tattoo. So we had long sleeve shirts as uniforms. He rolls up the shirt, and she takes her finger and she puts it on the contours of the tattoo. And the kid's getting a hard on right there. It's funny to see he's shaking. And she looks at the tattoo and she goes, wow. She goes, you know what? You might want to get that redone. It looks more like Potsy from Happy Days. The kid goes blank. He goes, Fish, you fucker, you set that up. I go, I didn't tell her to say that. So that's my Lisa Marie Presley claim to fame. The nicest, short, just petite, funny. And then when she found out he took that wrong, she gave him tickets to Graceland. And it's just, you lose people. You see the real people that they are, because he took it to, he started crying. It was so funny. But you had to be there to see it. But that's my Lisa Marie Presley story.
Wow, that's great. That's great. All right, folks, we're Daily Fish coming to you from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We hit sports, entertainment, politics, everything in between. Again, we are on Facebook at daily.fish.5. You can watch us also on Facebook at Myrtle Beach Golf Channel, Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life. Check out Daily Fish on YouTube and Wingding TV. We're also on Hey Vegas TV at heyvegastv.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. And use those channels to hear our interview chats that we have. We just had Brian Cranston on, and we're going to have special guests on throughout the week. And also check it out this week, because guess what? Hardline's going to give us our pick for tonight's game. So you definitely want to hear about that before we get into next week. Got any questions, any comments, write to us at dailyfish1@gmail.com. All right, guys, we can wrap it up. Good stuff. Great show.
It's good to have you back, Hardline. No, Hardline was under the weather and had to go to 65 doctors. You would have thought that Hardline was in the White House. I mean, he was going all over the place. Like, oh, there goes John. What's he going to do, John? What's he doing? He said, oh, yeah, he's got his there. See, that's what happens. That's what happens when you have a bad prostate. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's my ex-girlfriend. Oh, no.
Hey, I want Nike Dog here. We just found out Nike Dog's got a little medical problem, and he may not be with us longer. So I wanted to have you guys see him one more time. He's doing pretty good still, even though he's got a condition coming up, but he's hanging in there. So I just wanted to let you guys know to see Nike. Can you say hello to Fish and Hardline? Huh?
Yeah. Hey, Nike. God, 15. That dog's 15 years. I remember when you got him, you were still living in Vegas.
Yeah.
What a great dog. You know, we if you're an animal lover like we are on this show, the disposition that Nike has, and I have a dog. I don't know if you have any animals, Hardline. It's unconditional love, and we're praying for you, Daly. I know what that dog means to you and Terry, and you know I make fun of you all the time. But one thing that's not Debbie Downer in your life is what you're holding in your hands right now.
Absolutely. So anyway, just wanted to bring it up. He was kind of whining. I think he either wanted to get on here or maybe he's not feeling good now. But
yeah.
But anyway, so I just wanted to bring him up
hey,
here.
Nike, can you tell us, Nike, how long it takes John to put his makeup and do his hair in the morning for he comes on this show? Because I hear if Hardline got 5 doctors to check out that he had pneumonia, how many people come to your house to get you set up? Come on, Nike, just say one word. Yeah. An exclusive on Daily Fish, the dog talks. So, nah.
So
well, we're rooting for you, and Nike.
Anyway, all right, thanks, guys. Hey, great show, good stuff. Check us out, folks.
Check us out and enjoy the playoffs. And next week, guys, I want to ask Hardline this right now, and back if we got a couple of minutes. We're halfway through the NBA season. I've got a dark horse team to win the championship, and we'll wait till next week. You guys think of one also, okay? Later.
I got you.